Hello, everybody. Welcome once again to Wednesdays with Larijuana. Every Wednesday right here on CannaWannaBuy.com, we bring you the latest information on adult use and medical marijuana from all over the globe. This next issue is very important to all of us, no matter what state you live in. Driving while high. What does impairment really mean? Again, this is from marijuana.com, a very important issue. This was written by Chris Nessie on October 1st, 2014. Driving under the influence of any motor skill inhibiting substance, whether it comes from a flask or a bong or a prescription bottle, is both illegal and dangerous. While scientific and law enforcement communities generally agree about what constitutes impairment under the influence of alcohol, a similar consensus on what determines a driver's sobriety under the influence of marijuana remains elusive. As the national tide shifts over closer to legalizing recreational marijuana use, law enforcement officials are grappling with how to apply existing driving under the influence laws to drivers who are high. However, the imprecise approach some states use in implementing these drugged driving laws has created an environment which is potentially subject to abuse by law enforcement and with questionable benefit to public safety. The lack of consensus on how to identify marijuana-impaired drivers will be an ongoing concern as the nation's marijuana laws and consumption practices evolve. In 2013, a report in the Humboldt Journal of Science Relations, Normal Deputy Director Paul Armentano warned that enforcement of so-called per se drug driving laws under which drivers can be convicted of a traffic safety offense for operating a motor vehicle with even a trace amount of THC or metabolites found in their body fluids may inadvertently become a criminal mechanism for law enforcement and prosecutors to punish those who have engaged in legally protected behavior and who have not posed any actionable traffic safety threat. 18 states have such per se laws, which means if a driver is pulled over and ultimately arrested on suspicion of DUI, they could be subject to additional criminal charges if their bodily fluids test positive for a predetermined amount of THC or its metabolites. This effectively eliminates the state's requirements to prove a driver is actually impaired, as failing a field sobriety test would, relying instead on the presence of a substance in an individual's blood or urine, a questionable yardstick for measuring a driver's ability to safely operate their motor vehicle. It's far from established that the identification of either THC or carboxy THC metabolite may consistently be correlated with behavioral impairment, Armentano testified before the Nevada Subcommittee on the Medicinal Use of Marijuana in August. While most drugs completely leave your system within a few days, marijuana lingers in the fat cells before slowly being passed through the bloodstream and eliminated from the body. The speed of the process varies depending upon frequency of use, especially if use is chronic, as in the case of medical marijuana patient who may even be immune to the psychoactive effects of cannabis. Experienced cannabis consumers become tolerant to the substance's behavioral effects. These subjects also retain trace concentrations of THC and or carboxy THC for extended periods of time, well beyond the duration of impairment, Armentano testified. Some states impose a specific THC limit which measures the amount of THC and its metabolites in someone's blood, similar to the blood alcohol test. Washington and Colorado, where recreational cannabis use is legal for adults over 21, use a 5 nanogram per milliliter, that's 5 billionths of a gram per milliliter of blood, as the limit, with zero tolerance for drivers under 21 in accordance with the state's recreational cannabis laws. Other states have different thresholds, Armentano said. These numbers are arbitrary, as trace amounts of THC and its metabolites in the blood have not been impeachably linked to motor function impairment. These levels were not chosen because of any scientific evidence indicating that psychomotor impairment or greater likelihood of accident is likely to occur or above these levels, Armentano wrote in an email. And yet, 12 states have zero tolerance per se laws where any trace of THC can result in criminal charges regardless of the consumption of the substance took place. Jonathan Atkins is the executive director of the Governor's Highway Safety Administration, which deals with a number of traffic safety issues at the state level, including impaired driving. Atkins said the organization is not opposed to consumption of alcohol or legal marijuana, but it supports per se laws and their expansion to other states. He stopped short, however, of saying unequivocally that the laws prevent traffic fatalities. We don't have the research to show per se laws prevent deaths or accidents, but they're one of the many tools law enforcement can use, and we support them. When asked whether drivers with trace amounts of THC in their system could be considered legally impaired, Atkins conceded, different people react very differently to marijuana, and that's part of the controversy. Right now, it's more about what we don't know than what we do. We're having trouble keeping up with all the changes to legislation. Now, you can read the rest of the article again on marijuana.com, but it goes on to say that there are 10 states which you, for now, absolutely do not want to drive with cannabis in your system. And here they are: Arizona, Delaware, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Georgia, Michigan, Oklahoma, Rhode Island, Utah, and Wisconsin. Again, those states have zero tolerance for THC and its metabolites in your blood system when you're driving. So take that in mind, everybody. Don't forget that Canawana Buy has great products, whether you're a patient, a recreational user, a dispensary, a head shop, fast shipping, great products. Check them out every week. And also, don't forget my weekly show Saturday nights at 7 p.m. Mountain Time, Medical Marijuana Radio, where we give out great information, and you can call in and express your views. Peace and love, everybody. Peace and love. We'll see you next week.